Hi guys! In this video about anatomy, I'll be discussing the nephron, its different components, and how it functions as part of the excretory system. The excretory system is just another name for the urinary system. Now the nephron is a functional unit of the kidney. Much of the kidney's function relies on the nephrons. There are around 1 million nephrons in the average human kidney, and as you can see in this image, here is a kidney and here is a nephron. Nephrons basically help the kidney do its job. The purpose of the nephron is to filter blood and produce urine. It allows needed substances to be reabsorbed back into the bloodstream and unnecessary waste products to be excreted from the body. Here's a diagram of the nephron in all its glory, and it's the best one because I drew it. Just kidding, I traced it, but it's still beautiful. There are 5 main regions of the nephron that you'll have to know. There's the glomerulus and Bowman's capsule, the proximal convoluted tubule, the loop of Henle, the distal convoluted tubule, and the collecting duct. I've also included the renal artery, which brings oxygenated blood to the nephron, and the renal vein, which carries deoxygenated blood away from the nephron. Now let's move on to how blood enters the nephron and comes out as urine. We'll start off here in our first region of the nephron, the glomerulus and Bowman's capsule. So blood will come from the renal vein from a branch called the afferent arteriole. It enters the glomerulus, which is basically a bundle of capillaries. The word glomerulus comes from Latin and it translates to a ball made by winding. That's pretty accurate. Blood pressure here is extremely high due to the differences in diameter between the afferent arteriole and the efferent arteriole. The afferent arteriole brings blood towards the glomerulus, and the efferent arteriole takes the remaining blood away from the glomerulus after it is filtered. The afferent arteriole is wider than the efferent arteriole, causing blood to enter the glomerulus at a higher rate than it exits. So if you think about it, it's kind of like a bottleneck on a road. As a result, blood backs up in the glomerulus, leading to increased pressure within the glomerular capillaries. This pressure is high enough to squeeze out some fluid from blood. What's squeezed out is known as filtrate, which contains urea, water, glucose, amino acids, electrolytes such as sodium, potassium, and chloride, vitamins, fatty acids, nitrogenous waste products like creatinine, and other solutes. This then enters the Bowman's capsule. As aforementioned, the remaining blood, which still contains cells, proteins, and other large molecules, exits the glomerulus through the efferent arteriole. This concludes filtration of blood. However, there are still substances in the filtrate that need to be either excreted from the body or reabsorbed in the blood. Let's move on to the proximal convoluted tubule, which is a highly coiled region of the nephron. Proximal signifies its location as being close to the glomerulus. Osmoregulation takes place here, which means controlling excess water loss or gain and maintaining the fluid balance and the osmotic concentration, or the concentration of electrolytes. This is the site of early reabsorption of water, ions, glucose, and amino acids back into the bloodstream. 60% original water and 65% original ions are reabsorbed here. Nitrogenous wastes and blood pollutants, including medications, are secreted, meaning they are transported from the bloodstream to the nephron. Okay, this is the fun part. Now we've gotten to the loop of Henle. First, we start off with the descending end. As you can see, this loop goes down really deep. There's a reason to this. Previously, we were in the cortex area of the kidney. We've now entered the part of the kidney known as the medulla. Here's a diagram of the kidney so you can see the relative location of the medulla. The special thing about the medulla is that it's very salty. So what do we know about salt and concentration gradients? Well, this salt attracts water due to osmosis. So water is really going to want to leave the loop of Henle. The loop of Henle has a higher water potential compared to the salty medulla, which has a lower one. This allows water to be reabsorbed into the bloodstream in the descending end of the loop. Now I made these cute little drawings, but remember that water is really eventually going into the bloodstream. or here. Once we get up to the ascending end of the loop, we'll find that it becomes completely impermeable to water, and water cannot diffuse out to be reabsorbed. However, in this part of the nephron, sodium and chloride ions are being pumped out through active transport. So, not passive, like the diffusion of water. This is what makes the medulla salty in the first place, so think of it as a never-ending cycle of salt and water. The ascending end makes the medulla salty so that water diffuses out the descending end. Moving on to the distal convoluted tubule and the collecting duct, this is where a selective process really starts to take hold. The nephron needs to decide if it wants to conserve water or excrete it out. This is based on the needs of the body. Think about if you're really dehydrated. Do you think your body would want to excrete a lot of water out, or would it want to conserve it? It would want to conserve this water and reabsorb it back into the bloodstream. This is regulated by a hormone known as antidiuretic hormone, or ADH. Only when this hormone is present will water be reabsorbed back into the bloodstream in the distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct. The name antidiuretic hormone is very telling because diuretics make you urinate more. So antidiuretic would mean you urinate less with more water being reabsorbed. If your body already has more water than it needs, then ADH will not be present and the distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct will be impermeable to water, meaning the water will stay in the filtrate to be urinated out. This relates to the color of urine. If it's a lot darker, then you're dehydrated, because it's more concentrated with less water being excreted out, meaning your body needs to conserve all the water it can. Alright, so that was the gist of nephrons and how they function. There's so much more about the nephron that I couldn't cover in this video. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments and I will respond as soon as possible. If you also have other video ideas, please comment them too. My name is Michael, and I'm ChatEMC's resident scientist, making videos about chemistry and biology, including anatomy. Remember to keep calm and nephron.